Good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Here, I'm Mike Avery Outdoors. Cliff, good evening. How are you, buddy? This is something I do every Wednesday night. Almost every Wednesday night, right? Been doing it for a long time. Davina, always a pleasure. John, good evening. Randy, thanks for being along with us. Get that music out of there. I like it. But sometimes it's a bit much, eh? Eric, Craig, no, Davina, I'm not. Thanks for asking, but I didn't think I was going to make it through the show today. Hello, Eric, Nick, Tim, Bert. Thank you, my friends, for joining us. When is the drawing for the Pure Michigan Hunt? Let's find out. Because I want to know when I'm going to win. Pure Michigan Hunt drawing. Doesn't say. Does anybody else know when the Pure Michigan Hunt drawing is? Usually the third week in January. Hey, Ron, how you doing, buddy? Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. Uncle Johnny, how you doing, bud? Linda says it's 50 degrees in Ann Arbor. Getting my golf club back out. Uncle Johnny and I are ready to get the golf clubs out. I'll tell you that, Linda. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. No, I don't think it's February 1st, John. 23rd. I think it's the 23rd, Ross. I agree with you. Yeah, the bite on Saginaw Bay is hot right now. I talked about that a couple of times today on the radio show and the Offshore Tackle podcast. I might do that, Cliff. I just might do that. Did I finally get a doe on the 28th? I didn't get a doe at all. Thank you, Louie. Appreciate that. Happy 2023 to you, JT. Nice to have you with us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. My name is Mikey. I did, Scott. We are good to go. I made the announcement on the show for this week that Killer Food Plots is coming back on the Outdoor Magazine radio show as an advertising partner. So I'm very, very happy about that. Robert, good evening. How are you? Yeah, of course, the story with Killer Food Plots, Nick Percy. You like Killer Food Plots? Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it too. Killer Food Plots, an interesting company started by Nick Percy and his friend Rich Krazan. I think I'm saying it right, Krazan. And of course, Nick, we lost Nick about 15 months ago to COVID. He you and your grandkids got one on the 28th. Gotcha, Jerry. Thanks for that. Thanks for that clarification. Evening, Michelle. Keep an eye on that husband of yours. We lost him to COVID, and of course, the future of Killer Food Plots was in jeopardy. It was in doubt. But Rich, a good friend of Nick's, came along, was able to save the company. Good evening, Captain Doug. How are you? Was able to save the company, and I made a proposal to him to keep the Killer Food Plots name out there and to use him as our food plot expert, and he jumped on it. So I'm very, very happy about that. Kevin Coyote, Killing King Rod, how are you tonight? Mist, fog, and deer everywhere. Apparently, they know how to celebrate the new year. Where are they when you want to hunt them? Hey, Doug, have you been on the bay at all? I have not. I should be. I think Scott Hans probably even called it a season at this point. John, good evening. How are you? Yeah, that was a topic of discussion on the radio show as I talked with Captain Mark Pananzek of Real Fishing Charters. He was my opening guest on the show this week. And then I also re-interviewed him. Mike, I don't have it in me tonight to go, Mike, what day is it? And let you know it's hump day. I think my video just froze up. Yeah, I am a little stuffy, that's for sure. Yeah, my video, there we go. Billy's checking in from the farm. Stu checking in from the 45th parallel. Harrisville checking in. Sunrise Firearms. How's business, Sunrise Firearms? Mark Pananzak of Real Fishing Charters talks about, he not only talks about trolling Saginaw Bay right now, but he talks about trolling the Saginaw River on those days when it's too windy to get on the bay. He's trolling the river. Now, I've spent quite a bit of time trolling that river, but there's Mark right there. I was just telling him, Mark, that you're on the show and the offshore podcast this week. I don't know why my video's locking up there. I apologize for that. Downriver Kevin's with us because the feed is still going through because yeah. Oh, you got a new AQ. Excellent. Excellent. Speaking of AQs, Jason Karsten's running an AQ up in the St. Mary's River. Excellent. Glad to hear that, Sunrise. Spring turkey app's now available. Oh, nice, Lori. I'm glad you made it down there. Or up there in your case. So Mark was talking about trolling the Saginaw River, which is something I have a fair amount of experience with. But not usually, when I troll the river, I troll the flats off to the side, 12 to 17-foot flats off to the side of the shipping channel. And Mark says this time of year, go right down the middle. Don't hesitate to go right down the middle of the shipping channel. Hey, John Sullivan of Lure Lipstick, lurelipstick.com. How are you this evening? Love to run back into you, John. Love to catch up. How you doing, buddy? Stu says deer all over the way this morning. We have lost most of our snow as of down here. Paul says Happy New Year. Right back at you, Paul. But it was a very interesting conversation. You know, I spend all summer on Saginaw Bay chasing 15 to 18-inch walleye and happy as can be about it. Well, these guys are out there right now in the same water that I'm trolling all summer long, and they're catching 5, 6, 7, 8-pound fish. People keep telling me, Avery, don't put the angler quest away too soon. Johnny Bowler, how are you, buddy? Let me try to see if I can make a change in my settings for video quality. Maybe I can knock down the quality a little. I'll see. It's not going to let me. Yeah, I got some kind of a problem because what I was going to do was change the quality of the audio feed. I'm sorry, the video feed to knock down the quality, but make it so it didn't lock up. It is right now. Hand lining in the Saginaw River. Wow. Excellent, Vance. Which one are you looking at coming down for? I'd love to see you come down to our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner on March 4th. Ruben, how are things in Colorado? AQ is at AQ with Brad getting a cosmetic makeover, or you'd be on it. New Canopy going quarter front cover at Northern Pines Taxidermy. AQ is at AQ getting a makeover. What are you getting done, Scott? And why is my video? There we go. What are you getting done to my old boat, Scott? Scott Hand has caught far more fish on my old boat than I ever did. I'll tell you that. Which one, Vance, are you coming down to? Because I'm speaking at several events here. In fact, starting out, I'll tell you what the list is here. I've got it right here in front of me somewhere. Friday, January 20th, which is coming up very soon here now. I'll be at the Riverwalk Community Church in Bay City. Saturday, January 28th, I'll be at the Calvary Baptist Church in Midland. Moving out to February 21st, Tuesday, I'll be at the Fordney Club at the Saginaw Field and Stream Club, and they're raising money for their kids' athletic program. Friday, March 3rd, First Baptist Church in Clare. Saturday, March 4th, our big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction at the Great Hall in Midland. And then Wednesday, March 22nd, we're doing a Lumberjack, a Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack. Also, want to make you aware, Ross up early. He's got friends in town. He's got friends, eh? DNR wants us to report all turkey sightings. Not sure where on the website. Well, if you can see a turkey these days, you're pretty good. Why is the Wolf Game Dinner on the 20th men only? Don't know, Davina. It's not my event. I was asked to speak at that. I think it's a men's fellowship night. Johnny said they get dumped on with snow. It's not my event, Davina. I was only asked to speak at it, and I said I would love to do that. Brian used to pull wire down Lake Huron, Lake St. Clair. Mike, how are you this evening? Derek, how are you this evening? Nice to have you along with us on this edition. I knew what you meant. Well, I did eventually, Davina. But the answer is the same. I don't know. It's not my event. I think it's a men's fellowship night. And they asked me to speak at it. And I said, of course I will. There is another event coming up. Put this one on your calendar, please. This one is for next Saturday. I posted it here on the Facebook page, but I'm going to talk about it very briefly here now as soon as the page loads. This one, where'd it go? No. It's Saturday let me pull up my calendar. April, May, January. Saturday the 14th, there's a fundraising event at the VFW Hall on Beaver Road in Caucaulin Township for the Pinter family. Great family going through a rough time. We'll be giving away a couple of things at that event. Number one will be a walleye fishing trip with me on Saginaw Bay. We'll be auctioning that off. We'll also be auctioning off dart and crossbow and many other great events. If you're looking for one, Vance, do the one on March 4th. If you're looking for one, do the one on March 4th. Nothing against the event on the 20th, but the one on March 4th. I'm not speaking at the one on March 4th. I'm just the MC and like the host. At these other events, I kind of give a little inspirational / motivational talk. But the one on the 4th, man, we give away some stuff, and Dixie Dave is cooking. Oh, he's fixing that for you when they tried to widen the marina at Linwood Beach. It didn't work out, did it, Scott? That's okay. Things happen. Things happen. Good evening, John. Nice to have you along with us. Great tip, Jeff. Appreciate that. Vance will be there March 4th. Excellent. Keep an ear out for that, my friends. I will let you know when tickets are available. I'm not convinced on this one, Tim. Did I see the story about the wolf that traveled 4,200 miles before being shot? The DNR did confirm wolves have traveled across the ice pack into the lower. couple of thoughts on this. When I first saw that story, I was very suspect of it. It looked like it was a story that may have been put up there for with an ulterior motive. And regarding this fact that the DNR has confirmed wolves have traveled across the ice pack into the lower, you must know something I don't know, which is very possible. But there's right there, January 14th, doors open at 5, dinner from 6 to 8, 4 guns, a few hunting trips also, dart and crossbow, walleye fishing trip with me on Saginaw Bay, raising money for the Pinter family. They've been going through a rough time. They are great people, wonderful people. If you want to come out and help out the cause, that would be wonderful, wonderful. And I will be posting information on that event. The one on the 4th is at the Great Hall in Midland, Davina. Ed, good evening, buddy. How are you? Happy New Year to you as well. But getting back to the wolf, a lot of stories about wolves in Michigan, how they got here and how the DNR stocked them here and how the DNR, honestly, I've heard this story in the northern lower peninsula that the DNR brought in black helicopters and game wardens swooped down on this lake in northern Michigan and they pushed all the anglers off. And the DNR dropped with a black helicopter and they let wolves go in northern Michigan, which is absolute baloney. If you buy into that, I got a bridge I want to sell you, and it connects 2 peninsulas here in Michigan. I'm going to have Cody Norton of the DNR, who is the wolf specialist for the state, on the radio show next week to talk about wolves, to get the truth out there, if you believe the DNR, and I do on the wolf issue. Truth out there about where they came from, where they are they in the lower? And what about this whole concept of coy wolves? We talked about that last week, right? Good evening, James. How are you? Jerry, nice to have you along with us. Checking in from New York. Happy New Year to you as well. My name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. I'm live on my Facebook page, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. I'd love to be live on Instagram as well, but I can't figure out a way to do it without setting up a separate device. And I don't want to do that because then all the comments won't be together. Jerry says, "Oh, excellent, excellent, Jerry. I didn't realize that you were friends of theirs. I will look forward to seeing you, my friend. Yeah, they're good people. And Jerry, if you bring your wallet, you can get a fishing trip with me on Saginaw Bay. Too many fumes in the shanties cause the stories to get bigger. Yeah. No, I the guys who told me that, I mean, they were dead serious. Interesting, Mike, but what do you think? Hello, James. How are you? Another story, another great thing I've seen. Hello, Kirk in Montana. How are you? Well, where'd Davina go? Davina, the one on March. I'm not going to tell you which one's better. I will tell you the one on March 4th is a fundraiser for my church and school. And I will be the host and the MC. I am intimately involved in that event. That's my favorite because it's for my church. Scott, I'm going, don't know yet, Jason, but I know Jason, right above you is a guy named Scott Hand. Scott Hand just made a comment on wolves. Scott Hand, Jason's question is because he's coming down from the Sioux in his angler quest. Will the Walleye for Warriors event be on the same weekend in 2023? Scott Hand can answer that for you, Jason. What say you, Scott? Exactly, Tim. Johnny. They sure do. I'm going to be wandering around there, John, but I don't have a booth there. Johnny says it's a great time too. 300,000, Nick. 300,000 deer registered so far this season. You'll buy a trip, Brian? Of the events I'm speaking at, we're giving away fishing trips at the Fordney Club event on Tuesday, February 21st, the Trinity Monitor event on Saturday, March 4th, and the Pinter fundraiser on Saturday, January 14th. Those are the 3 charity trips I'm giving away trips on. John Sullivan, I will be there. I don't have a booth. I'm going to be wandering around there probably Friday of the show, just to say hi to people. Excellent, Lori. Look forward to it. I haven't, James. I haven't. I saw a picture of a wolf a while ago, but I think that one's gone. Saw my truck down in Ann Arbor a couple of weeks ago. What was I doing down there? I think we had a doctor appointment down there. Johnny's giving away a bear or a deer hunt, whatever they choose. If I was going with Johnny, I'd take the deer hunt. Just saying. Mark said, save me a seat this year. Can I get a trip for the Saginaw RMEF on February 10th? I don't know. Let me think about it. If it was anybody other than you, Craig, I'd say absolutely not. Because I am so booked up. In part because I'm taking trips from last year and carrying them over to 23, as you well know. What did Scott say? Scott said, what did Scott say? A weekend before Father's Day, June 10th and 11th, which is my daughter's birthday. June 10th and 11th, Rutrow. I'm going to be bear hunting in Ontario. February, March, April, May, June. I can't commit to it, Scott. I'm going to be bear hunting in Ontario. And I moved my bear hunt up from August to September because my daughter Shelby's getting married at the end of the summer. Let me see. That hunt starts. I might be able to make it back in time. It's to stop it, Craig. Quit loading him up with new stuff because he still owes us a trip or two. I will look forward to seeing you there, Matt. I believe that there's one crossing 28 in the UP. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. M Live had the article. Well, if M Live had it, it must be true, right? It must absolutely be true. Okay, I started to tell you who's on the show this week because one of them's on here right now, Captain Mark Podonzak from Real Fishing Charters Real Fishing LLC. We talk about fishing the Saginaw Bay. We're talking about open water trolling of Saginaw Bay right now and trolling the Saginaw River. We also talked about concerns on whether the lower Saginaw River being open year-round for walleye fishing now, if it's going to negatively affect the fishery. And then Bob Ransom of Primal Outdoors joins me. It's no longer Primal Tree Stands. It's now Primal Outdoors. You know Bob Ransom. He's the guy who started Ameristep. Well, he's also the guy who started Primal Outdoors. And he's talking about some new blinds. They're making a heavier version of my Wraith 270 see-through ground blind. They're making it bigger with heavier material. That might be a bit too heavy to lug in and out of spots. That might be one you want to take in for a while. Didn't kill anything with that gun. The only thing got killed with that gun was my grandson Carter shot a big doe. I didn't get a chance. Hour number 2, we're talking with Taylor Pearson about targeting monster pike in the wintertime on southern Michigan lakes, primarily through the ice, although he doesn't have any ice right now. Then Chad Stewart of the DNR talks about how many deer have been checked in. Just over 300,000. Just over 300,000. And he was pretty happy with that. The Ask Avery segment this week talks about the difference between a blind and a stand, a rub and a scrape, a horn and an antler, a suppressor and a silencer. Spoiler alert, no difference there. I hear people talk about their tree blinds. It's not a tree blind. Here's the definition. If you sit on it, it's a stand. If you sit in it, it's a blind. Boom. End of discussion. Easiest way to remember it. If you sit on it, it's a stand. If you sit in it, it's a blind. Maybe 75 yards, Tim. Maybe 60. Probably closer to 60. Yeah. Good evening, Jerry. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. And then in our third hour, we're talking about trapping. I have much, much, much respect for trappers. Think about this. If you are a gun hunter, yeah, you can rub a tree scrape on the ground. Yeah. And here's the other thing. A rub is on a tree, a scrape is on the ground. Okay. Boom. End of discussion. Trappers are a unique group because they're very, very hardcore. They're very knowledgeable. Think about this. If you're a Michigan gun hunter, you only have to get a critter within, say, 100 yards and you can take it. If you're a bow hunter, you have to get it within 30 yards and you can take it. Good evening, Nick. How are you? Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats, michiganbrand.net. We are not giving away a Michigan brand ham tonight. We are not giving away a Michigan brand ham tonight, but I would encourage you to go to the website, michiganbrand.net, put in your zip code and find where you can buy one. Joe Llewellyn said, do you know, are the DNR actually going to do something with those numbers? I asked Chad Stewart that specific and exact question, Joe. But you are going to have to wait until the show. You're going to have to wait to the show to find out what the answer was. Because to be honest with you, I was so out of it for much of the show this morning. I was praying this morning as I walked into the studio that I was going to make it through the show. I was that out of it. Just not feeling too good. How's the food at the January 20th Wild Game Dinner? Don't know, Jeff. I've never been there before. Never done it before. This would be my first time with that group. Davina's still enjoying that ham. Anyway, if you're a bow hunter, yeah, did you catch a deer this year? If you get a bow hunter, you got to have an animal, within 30 yards, and you can harvest it. But think about this. A trapper has to have a critter step in something this big or swim through something this big before they can make a harvest. That is skill, my friends. You didn't seem like you were feeling that bad this morning in life. Yeah, well, then I did a good job, John, because I was absolutely out of it. How many do they guesstimate, not report? I don't know the answer to that, Jeff. I just know they're very happy with 302,000. Very happy. Come on, man. Sunday, June 11th for Walleye for Warriors to pass on Saturday the 10th. I'll do what I can, Scott. But in my mind, you know how much I love that event. But I have set aside that week for bear hunting in Ontario. Let me mull it over and see what I can. You know, if I can, I will be there. If I can, I will be there. And we talked about the topic of proposed commercial fisheries. Yes, we've talked about it ad nauseum. John says if a wolverine can come across the ice in Canada, I believe a wolf could as well, if that story of the wolverine is true. Craig says reported that Chad says 81% reported their deer. That's pretty darn good. If you get a first-year program and it's voluntary and 81% of people comply, because 81% of hunters are not complying with the bait law, I'll guarantee you that. I usually don't stay up there the whole time anyway. If I get about 4 days of hunting in, that's enough. Although I am going to shoot a bear this year because I wasn't able to hunt. I wasn't able to shoot one with Johnny. Good evening, Brad. Lost Glove. You watched my Fred Bear interview the other day. Ross is going to be in the UP then. It's funny on that Fred Bear interview. I had some people just crucify me. Why? And I love this. Why, you big old fat guy? Because I was really fat and I did that when I did the story. Not the interview with Fred, but when I actually put the story together. Why, you big old fat guy, did you talk so much during the interview? Why didn't you let Fred Bear talk? I mean, after all, he is the godfather of bear hunting, and you're just a big old fat guy, right? A big old fat outdoor guy. So why did you talk so much? Why didn't you show the rest of your interview with Fred Bear, you fat guy? Don't you think if I had more of my interview with Fred Bear, I would show it? Don't you think that if I'm anywhere smart enough to wake up in the morning and brush my teeth, that I would include every word I had on video in the story? And I did. And the only reason I talked in that story was I had to set up what the questions were. I would say, and then I asked Fred this, so people would know the context of his answer. I just love people who have never interviewed Fred Bear, who will never interview Fred Bear, who could never even dream of meeting Fred Bear, who could never in their wildest dreams, if they won the life's lottery, would never spend time at Grouse Haven Ranch with Fred Bear sitting side by side, listening to him tell hunting stories, who never would document this on videotape in their entire life. And I did, and they're criticizing the way I did it. That's interesting, Davina. I took mine to an Amish processor. I took Carter's to an Amish processor. They wouldn't touch it until I showed them the number, confirmation number that it was checked in. And they couldn't go online to check because, yes, it was voluntary, John. This first year of the program, mandatory check-in was actually voluntary check-in because there were no repercussions. Sorry, Patrick, you trying to get me going here? Whitmer, who is one of my favorite people, I love her and respect her so much. I think what she's done for our state is phenomenal. I love the way she overreacted to COVID. I love the way she shut down our state and decimated our economy. And I especially love the way that she fixed the roads like she promised she was going to. So that's my frame of reference. Now she says she wants to get some sensible gun laws out there. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Mine wouldn't either, John. That'll be fun. Because I'll guarantee you she doesn't know the difference between a clip and a magazine. And she also, Nurse Ratchet, she also, well, is there somebody you'd like to get on your show but haven't been able to yet? Nope. Well, let me rephrase this. It's a guy that I had on a long time ago that I'd like to get back on now, and his name is Mitch Rampola, or an auto and a semi-auto and an assault rifle. Yep. I'd like to get Mitch back on the show. I've had him on. I had him on the show. In fact, if you go to YouTube and you look up the Rampola recovery video and you hear Mitch narrating the video, that audio is from my radio interview. I can't even find my copy of the radio interview. Somebody snagged it from somewhere, and they're using my radio interview for that video on YouTube. But I had Mitch on right after he shot that big buck. I didn't know it was going to be such a controversy, and I didn't know he was going to go underground like he did. So I just assumed I'd be able to get him back on the show. I can't, but I'd like to get him back on the show now. I have a couple of ways of reaching out to him, and he has ignored those requests. So yeah, I'd like to get him on the show. Other than that, I think I've got. Well, I'll tell you this too, Jeff. That he was the subject of Rogan's podcast, and when Rogan was talking about it, you should have seen. I have a video on YouTube called Ron Pola Speaks, and I could tell something had happened even before I know that Rogan and Meat Eater were talking about it. I knew something had happened to regenerate interest because the comments came in on that like crazy. I will tell you this. Hey, Johnny. Yeah. I will tell you this. I used to be a huge supporter of Mitch because I had met him, because I had been to his house, because I had listened to him talk. I was absolutely convinced it was legitimate. But then I listened to I listened to the Deer Hunter podcast from, he's a Michigan guy, Kevin Vistison. Kevin did a multi-part series. And the only one of the whole, I think it was 5 parts, that actually resonated with me was a taxidermist from down south. And he pointed out some things on the way the antlers come out of the side of the skull plate instead of on top. There you go, Jerry. That's exactly the one. Yeah. Kevin Vistison. And when I started to look at that, and Kevin told me, he said, once you hear him, you'll never be able to look at the Ron Pola buck again. And when I went back to the video, I thought, you know what? I think there's something there. So I am not as strong of supporter of Mitch as I was before. I would still love to get the chance to talk to him. Hey, here's something interesting with Rapid River Knife Works. I did not see the new floor. They sold so many knives that they sold out before Christmas. They didn't have a knife to sell. They shut down, put in a new floor, and made their showroom spick and span. They didn't have any product to sell. I guess the radio advertising was a big success, huh? I need to get Chris on the show. I've got what's his name? Beer guy. And there was one other person you had me thinking I wanted to get on here. Well, Mitch, yeah, of course, but that's not going to happen. We weren't just talking about Mitch. I wish you could. Weren't we just talking about Mitch? Eberhardt's podcast. I tell you, I'm a big fan of John Eberhardt. I wish he would too. I'm a big fan of John Eberhardt, but John, and I think John is the man. He's completely legit, but he has come out very much against Mitch, and some people have not appreciated the way John did that. John doesn't care. John's like Mitch, and he's pretty much like me. I don't care. I'm going to tell you what I think. If you want to know what I think, you tune into this live stream. You tune into Behind the Mic in the radio studio in the morning. You tune into the radio show. You tune into the podcast. You will not always agree with me, hopefully. But you get to a point where you don't really care. I'm reaching in my bag here to answer your question about what is my no, I never interviewed Jimmy Houston. No desire. I got one in here. And the reason I just happen to have one in here is I threw one in here. And I'll show you. I think I'll show you. I will. He found it. You're asking me, Derek says, Mike, what is your favorite cigar? Right there. Focus. It's not going to. Fat Bottom Betty. That's my current favorite cigar, Fat Bottom Betty. Fat Bottom Betty. That's my go-to right now. I don't like the fact that they're like $11 right now, but what are you going to do? Yeah, that's just his personality, Tim. That's just him. No, I haven't. No, that's not gonna happen either. Good afternoon, Clint. How are you? It's oh, I will. Not right. I wouldn't even smoke it right now because I wouldn't be able to enjoy it. Um, he would be. He would be, but I don't see him coming on my show, but he would be. Well, we have done many podcasts, Richard or Jerry, because remember, every radio show becomes a podcast. How did you like the Fuente? Three buddies today, a Rocky Patel vintage 1992 cigar. It will set you free. And how much will it set my wallet free? Love the Betty, say less. I do too. Um, I want to talk about the ATA show, which is coming. I haven't. I don't think I have. He'd be good. He'd be good, Tim. Yes, he would. Um, the ATA, the Archery Trade Association show is coming up next weekend. I used to go to those shows. I don't go anymore. I don't get any good out of them anymore because actually now with social media and such, I can sit back. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. I can sit back on social media and I can see what the companies are unveiling at the ATA show, including the new dart and crossbow that has a new beefed up scope mount, which has always been my gripe about dart and crossbows. And the other thing I don't like about the ATA show is the cult of personality that surrounds it. I got to the point where I couldn't stand to see one more 25-year-old guy walking around in tight jeans. Guys, and silver scrolling and studs on the back pocket of his jeans. And then he's got his arm candy girlfriend on his arm, and she's like 23, and she's never picked up a bow before in her life until they started the TV show. And they walk around the thing like they are the gods of archery. And I just and arch and outdoor television. And I'm old enough now where that kind of stuff doesn't impress me. In fact, all it does is irritate me. So I'm not going to the ATA anymore. That's the plan, Ed. That's the plan. It's like a train wreck, though. You just have to look. Very true. You just have to look. Leather rose, I have. I have the leather rose. I've tried. I like that one. What was the other one right here? Kentucky Fire. I have not tried. I like Drew Estate. I like Drew Estate a lot. I like their Laritan. Dave, remind me about that because I want to cover that event before it happens. And I had planned on it last year, but I didn't get reminded and I didn't remember. Leather rose. I do like the leather rose. My brother-in-law turned me on to the leather rose because I was telling him about Fat Bottom Betty's. He couldn't get one, and his cigar shop said, "Try one of these." It is amazing, and I can't. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say because I just shouldn't say it. So I'm not going to say it. Hey, Joe. Thank Joe for bailing me out. How are you this evening? How was your Michigan brand ham? We're going to start something next week with a company. Let me pull it up. We're going to start a giveaway next week with this company called, they're out of Gladwin, Whack'em and Plack'em. Jason Coney is the guy, Whack'em and Plack'em. And it is a very cool background for your mounts. We're going to start next week and we're going to start giving away one of those every week. At least that's the plan right now. So even though we're not giving away a Michigan brand ham, I want to continue the giveaways. No problem, Rick. You're here. That's all that matters, right? Well, that's true. Ice on Little Bay de Noc. Anybody? It was excellent. $7 stick. It's called a Brick House. Who makes them, Derek? Brick House. She's a brick house. Brick House, $7. I would take a $7 cigar anytime. Yeah. Good. Well, good point. Buzzer's coming back. Brick house. Happy New Year to you as well, Mike. John, what does C mean? Hopefully they like you more than Nick does. Everybody likes you more than Nick does, Ed. What is J.C. Newman Timothy Cigars Bay City? I know Timothy's in Bay City. J.C. Newman. Brick House. I'll check it out. Cool name. Gotcha. Oh, you'll check it out. Okay. We've still got 5 minutes to go, but I'm gonna wrap it up here about 5 minutes early tonight. I'm just not feeling good tonight. My poor wife has been sick for over a week now. I think we just we need some fresh air and some good sleep. But in order to do that, we got to do it right. Like this. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. My name is Mike Avery. The website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. Yeah, we'll be fine. We just need to get past this little rough period here. We will do that. All right, my friends, have a good night. Don't forget about the Pinter fundraiser next Saturday. I'll be talking about it between now and then. Have a good night, my friends. Appreciate you joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live.